Hello, hello, hello. Today we are with Sulin Ward-Brown, who is our wonderful principal at the Jamaica China Goodwill Infant School in the wonderful community of Olympic Gardens. Sulin, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here sharing with you today, Rachel.
It's wonderful. So for those of you who don't know, the Jamaica China Goodwill Infant School is about 2 years old. Sulin is the founding principal. Is that correct for me to say?
Yes.
Perfect. Tell us a little bit about the history of the school, Sulin, how it got started, how you got into this school, and just what sort of challenges you've had. I know you've had to tweak things in the last couple of months because of the pandemic, but I am literally sitting with her in her location and her school is wonderful. Like, it is the most amazing school. It's like an oasis. Like, every time I come here, I think of it like this oasis. I'm not trying to say that the community is a desert or a wilderness, but it is always such a refreshing experience each time I'm here. So give us a little bit of the back end and a little bit of history into how it evolved, Sulin.
Okay, how the school came into being. I believe it started as a passion of the Prime Minister, who, in dialogue with Chinese government and the Chinese government offering gifts to this country, he opted to have 2 early childhood institutions built as the gift. And one is here in Olympic Gardens and the other is in Morant Bay. And so, having wanted the state-of-the-art early childhood institution for his constituency, these schools were built as gifts, as I said, from the Chinese government. We had a number of basic schools in the community and wanted to meet the Early Childhood Commission standard of operating. We found where some of them were lacking in those areas, and so this would be the model school to showcase, not to shut them down, but to be an example as to what the Early Childhood Commission wants to see, and so we had to move forward quickly into being certified. Now, being certified, it involves a lot of things. You have to have staff-student ratio being perfect. You had to have your footage. Exactly, your lighting. One of the challenges that we faced initially was with the lighting, because when they came in and they measured the lighting, it was low, and so we had to replace all our bulbs. Another challenge we faced was in terms of enough hand wash stations in the kitchen, so we had to put those in.
But now you realize how important they were.
And trust me, way before COVID,
through a pandemic,
exactly. So we did not have to change much when the pandemic hit at all, because
so the transition was smoother.
It was much smoother because we would have met the standards required. Another thing, when you are new in any community, you have to find out how will the people take you and what you're proposing, because they have grown accustomed to life as it was before and change.
How it's been always done.
Right. And so first you would want to get community buy-in. A number of the schools felt threatened because we were here and they saw this pretty building and they felt like, oh, we're here to take their students. And one of the things that I had to do initially was actually going to some of the schools, and I met with the principals and
just
I
kind of allay your concerns
to say, listen, we are on the same side here, and what we want is for our children to get the best education and care in a safe, clean environment. And so we discussed that and we shared ideas on how they could improve and whatever assistance that we could give to them in terms of additional training. We made the way possible for that. So we would invite them to join in our teacher sessions, the staff development sessions. We also visited the churches. On a Thursday, the children there at the clinic, the staff and I would make an appointment to go to the clinic every Thursday to interact with the parents, to let them know that we are here and what we are promoting, and we are interested in their babies even before they are ready for registration. And so we told them about the program and how important brain development is, and we offered a little session every Thursday by the clinic.
Early childhood ambassadors then from before,
yes,
right?
I think,
promoting early childhood development in its entirety.
Yes,
going to the clinic, Sulin, that is admirable and commendable.
Thank you so much.
So they really got a chance to know you and your team
before they even registered.
Wow.
So I saw pregnant mothers saying, "This is where my child is coming."
Oh my goodness.
And we are now at year 3, and I'm so fortunate to see some of those mothers really coming to enroll. So I think they were really happy with what they saw, and what we had to do was to remain consistent, because if you are not consistent, persons are going to say, "Oh, they're just talking," but we had to ensure that our teachers remain consistent. And so we have a mantra here that says excellence is our lifestyle, and and our teachers buy into it, our parents buy into it, and our students definitely buy into it. And so we go to church services, not just we have been to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, we have been to the Baptist Church. The pastors and I are very good friends now, because we are saying this school is for all of us.
It's not just for
one type of
one type of community member. It's for everybody. It's very inclusive.
Everybody. And even though we are in this constituency and persons might be thinking a particular color, we want to make it clear that we're open to everybody, because our passion is early childhood learners, no matter where they are from, their background, but we want to see them transitioning well, being well-adjusted adults. And so we offer a wide variety of clubs. We have 8 clubs. We do have robotics, sign language, art and craft, 4-H, environment club, dance, speech and drama. And I must commend my team, because they believe also in what I believe in, and that makes it so much easier. So when the children come here, and all these are free, when the children come here, even though even in the pandemic, they were able to online every day outside of classes engage in a club activity. I saw children starting their own composting at home, pictures of their backyard gardens as a result of environmental club, making their little robots using paper, because that's what we had available during this time. And for the side language pieces they did when we have our concerts in December, because every month we try to have an activity to get them showing off what they have learned.
I love it.
And the art and craft pieces are amazing. Making glasses, and we had hat day, and trust me, the parents were so supportive. And so we have even found that the parents have started to believe in themselves so much more.
So you're doing, Sulin, oh my goodness. I mean, I'm blown away by, first of all, your commitment to this school, to your teachers, because before we started the podcast, Sulin just was going on and on and on about her team, and just to hear her sing praises of the team was just, I don't know, it just made the hair on my hand stand up. But Sulin, I'm just seeing so many moving parts, and I see you doing so much stuff. I see you believing in and affirming this whole idea of community buy-in.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's something that the practitioners and that school principals across the island and overseas sometimes take for granted. And during this pandemic, how much more important, or how much more importance have you placed on the communications that you've had with the community? For you, community is not just mom and dad and grandma and grandpa, but it's like you said, your pastor, the medical practitioner, the nurse down there. How have you maintained those relationships in the pandemic? I know you have.
Yes, we have, and I do believe it is so important, because even with the lack of availability of device that so many persons were complaining of initially, it was through partnership with these community members when we said, how are we going to reach these students? We have 50 students who we have not seen, and they are missing in connection. We did a few home visits, and we found that
so you've done home visits.
Yes, we have.
I love it.
And so when we said, okay, how can we assist? Can we communicate with auntie or uncle overseas? Would you like me to write a letter for you, so that you can ask? Because sometimes when they ask, their voice goes a little deeper than how my voice will go. So when I go to the wholesale and I say, we have always purchased from you, can you give us even one device? And they say, okay, principal, we'll do it, because we have it is a good thing that we had a relationship before the pandemic. So one of the things that I encourage is that we support this community. If there's a carpenter here, he's the one we're using. If there's a plumber, he's the first one we are calling.
So outsource everything to the community.
Right.
That is something that we can encourage our practitioners and our principals to do island-wide. Use the resources in your community.
Right. That is very important. And so when we are ready now, when we are unable to afford their services, they are willing to share with us because they know that we have always supported them. And they see the importance of education. Surprisingly enough, we might think, persons not going to school don't support education. They do. Everybody wants better for their children.
That is true. That is a fundamental fact.
Right.
I believe so.
So when we say the children need it and we show them the faces of persons not having, they're willing to participate, and through their interaction with the community and so on, we were able to donate 17 tablets to students, and so we're very grateful for community involvement. The nurses, we did ask them to give us updates on how the pandemic was affecting the community, and so if it is that we could increase our home visits and trying to guide us and to see what the numbers are like.
Yes,
so we know our risk factor in terms of trying to engage. Or she said, okay, miss, hold back a little bit. Don't go too much right now, because we did make some food packages and we wanted to deliver to parents. Because some of the students we know missing our lunches and missing just seeing us.
And just seeing your face.
Right. So for Mother's Day, we were able to visit some mothers and just reminded them that we are here for you, and met with the students and gave them a little token. So just going to the gate and just seeing them.
What you have done and what you continue to do is beyond learning. It's beyond academics, right? It's really very much social based. It's all about a relationship.
I do believe that connection. Our needs are not met, and that Gardner speaks about that. That we say if our fundamental needs are not met, our educational needs are going to be secondary. They're not going to take precedence over our emotional need. They need to feel loved, belong, cared for, fed, and when you know that somebody cares for you, you shine so much more.
It is true, and I think that is also what you do with your team too. So let's talk a little bit about the leadership strategies that you have, engaged in, that you maintain, because it starts with you, and if your energy and your commitment is anything to go off of, you probably have the star team. I know you do, but
yes, I do believe we have a star team. And one of the things I've always believed in, probably even as a child, because I hated to be reprimanded. And so I said, if somebody just be nice first, and I always try to package how we reprimand, and this is a standard that we hold here. I said, say something good. Always start with a positive. The person must have accomplished something, must have done something good so you talk about their strength first. Then we phase in what needs to be adjusted, where we need to correct, and end again with something positive. So
you are very intentional with your words.
Yes, I am. I am very intentional, because words do hurt when words build and words tear down, and I believe that anything that we can say to somebody can be packaged nicely. It can be packaged nicely. And so with my team, I believe that all of them, and I've always said this, came with a special gift. Just like every child and everyone, all of us have a special gift. And so don't compare yourself to others. Let your light shine. And that is something they mimic me all the time, like, okay, shine on, because I'm always saying, shine on.
Shine on.
Yes.
But it's true, Sulin, I really do believe that a lot of the times as educators, we forget that we each have a unique talent or a particular strength, and we try to do what this one is doing, we try to do what that one is doing, and in so doing, our voices get lost.
Right.
Our true, purpose and passion becomes hidden.
Right. And when we're looking for perfection, what is perfection? And so we all have flaws. And so I tell my team all the time, I'm so grateful for everybody. They're all different. And when I say all different, some hold me to task.
Definitely.
Because I have somebody who is always on my team. Miss, you said you were going to complete this. Is it done? Because I hold them accountable and I encourage them to hold me accountable as well.
Exactly.
And so we always look at each member. I can know when you get into a meeting who is going to be talking the most, who is going to be talking the least. And one of the things I do is give everybody a role to play. So when we have staff development coming up, each person gets a topic. So nobody feels that voice is outshining their voice. So whatever area they are specialized in, be it cooking or whatever, they're going to showcase a little bit of them. And I found that when they showcase that part that they're comfortable with, little by little, the other parts that they were not comfortable with come out as well.
Developed.
And even in this pandemic, I really smiled at the end of this year that I had 2 members of staff who I thought were very reserved, and technology brought them out.
Wow.
Everything that we needed to make, all our online posters. When we did every week we award students who participate, and this teacher would just make everything so beautiful in terms of the slide shows, and it was always different with the music she used. And we're saying, wow, we didn't even know this existed until this pandemic. And so recently we had a little get together and we're just commending everybody. One of the things we do have here is Motivation Mondays.
Motivation Mondays. Tell us a little bit about that.
And so every Monday, everybody has to motivate somebody here. So when we were having face-to-face, we would make cards and we walk around and persons would pick cards saying something positive. Now that it's online, we in our staff group, every Monday we have to commend somebody.
Yes.
Or we share why we are grateful that you are here. So we say, Rachel,
I used to do
I appreciate the fact that you are always on time. You remind me to attend the meetings, and I appreciate you. Your voice makes a difference. And I found that because we feel so comfortable together, and it doesn't mean we don't disagree. We do disagree, but we do it respectfully. And we say, Miss, you know, I really did not appreciate how you said that. It made me feel this way. And the person said, oh, you know, that's not what I intended.
But you get a chance to discuss it and to air it.
Yes, and because I really hate to feel, you know, in an environment that is toxic. And so what we do encourage is share. You may not want to do it in the open all the time, but communication is very important.
So that leads me into talking about the 4 C's. And how it has been epitomized here. You know, when we made that transition at the primary level to the national standards curriculum, the 4 C's became the talking point on everybody's lips. You know, okay, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, you know, communication. But what does it really mean for us? How do we encourage that?
And that is something that I've always encouraged it, and I always say, you know, we have been doing this every day and we just did not label it. Because without collaboration we really will not achieve. We will not achieve anything, because all the ideas do not rest with one person. And so when if I decide, okay, we're going to have a math expo, I need that person to come in and say, but Miss, is it going to be outside or inside? What if it rains? What if what's the backup plan? And I do have somebody who every time we put something out there, she is the what if person, and I appreciate her so much.
And sometimes we can misread that and feel threatened or you know, like annoyed, like you're just trying to make it fail, but you're trying to really work together to create the best option for your organization.
Exactly, because at first, you know, within yourself you're wondering, oh my God, I know she's coming with something, but then as you mature, you have to say, this is necessary. I did not even see it that way. And so collaboration is very important. You don't want everybody on your team to be in agreement with you all the time, because it's in the disagreement that you see the loopholes. And you get now to put those things in place. And you kind of step out of the comfort zone when you're challenged. Exactly. And that is really exactly. Outside of your and the critical thinking, because now you have to now reshuffle what you thought you had all lined out and say, okay, what's another way we can do this? And we encourage that for students as well.
But don't you find that when your teachers are able to engage in thought processes like that and scenarios like that, then it sort of transcends into your classrooms differently? Don't you find so? But I find that there's so many practitioners that are afraid to challenge the status quo or to ask the question, the principal that question, because she will get vexed. But it's so important, because if you're holding back on that, you can't really unleash it with your kids.
That's so true. That's so true. And as I said, it's a learning process.
It is.
Because we're human. And so one of the good things sometimes with technology is like, even if now you're kind of able to hide behind the screen sometimes, so persons don't get to see your face, but when you think about it, you say, I really appreciate what that person said.
Yeah.
But in person, we probably would oh my God, and they would see the expression and think. But one of the things I do encourage is for the teachers to share how they feel. There's not an activity that I have and it's just, okay, this is my plan. It's always collaboration.
But what it does too is it encourages reflection, and reflection is such an important part of a teacher's daily lifestyle. But it's something that we have shirked off and be like, all right, later we do the reflection because we have to go home now. Rain's too far, we have to move. And we kind of just put it on the back burner. But we cannot move towards efficiency and towards efficacy if we don't encourage this spirit of reflection.
We have to.
And you find that is able to be done through this whole promotion of the forces.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And that's what I love about what you do.
And one of the things that I encourage is to record it, because even what I find, when teachers, when we say reflection, a lot of it is not written down. We talk about it and I said, ladies, we need to write. We need to write. So when we look back at our journey and where we have been, we see what we have done differently, how we have grown. Because even with our students, when we meet them in September, it's a different person we see in December.
Completely.
And so when you track that journey, exactly, that is how you see your growth, their growth, and you are able to say to the parent confidently, look at what your baby has done. Look at how you have grown as a parent too, because initially some parents say, oh my God, everything I have to be involved in, we need your mommy. Yes, mommy, you have to play a role in this. Yes, daddy, we need you. And I think the pandemic, I must commend, even as the 4Cs is tied in, I must commend our parents for buying into this too, because collaboration with them, allowing them to also think critically by being
a two-way street, always. So I mean, if you didn't believe in this, if you hadn't already established this whole, let me walk and go visit this one, and it would not have happened. So I mean, I have to single you out. I have to big you up. I have to make a big deal about what you have done prior to the pandemic, during the pandemic, and I know that this will continue post-pandemic too. I just think that what you do, Sulin, is just remarkable, and I think what you have achieved in 2.5 years, 3 years? 3 years of this location, of this school, is just, as you said, you wanted this school to be an example of what early childhood development can look and feel like, and I think it has captured that. Even throughout the challenges of a pandemic, you've managed to keep that steady. And something that I want to talk about, is the fact that when I visit, I go to a lot of schools. I go to private schools, I go to public schools, I go to ECIs, I go to, secondary schools, lots of different schools. But when I go in, sometimes, and I told you this when I walked in, like the principal's office, your office is so organized. I don't know if you know that I was coming today. So you're probably not. It is so well organized in here. Oh my gosh, listeners, it's clean. It is like a breath of fresh air. And what matters to me is Sulin's body language. You know what I mean? It's non-stop smiling. It's welcoming. It facilitates this sort of ease. When Sulin and I were talking in the last week about doing this podcast, Sulin's like, yes, Miss McDowell. I was like, Sulin, please, nobody calls me that. She's like, all right, sis, cool, no problem. You know what I mean? And it changes the tone completely, And Sulin, it just blows my mind how you've managed to maintain this sort of level of calm, and you just keep smiling. And we underestimate what your body language, what your energy, and how you emit this energy, and how that energy affects the entire community. Because the minute I walk in here, I just feel like, oh my gosh, this is a place to be.
One of the things I must say, I truly believe in life we are searching for a purpose, and most persons don't know where they belong. I started out in accounting, Yes, I always said I wanted to be an accountant. And
so
then
your board must love you.
And then I just said, no, this is not for me. I'm not the person to sit behind a desk just with papers and working out numbers. And when I decided that teaching early childhood, I believe that the babies is where you would start building your foundation. You need the best people at the bottom. And yes, I consider myself one of the best people because God made all of us so special. And when I settled into being an early childhood educator, I said, God, I found my purpose. I would not want to be anywhere else.
There's a certain amount of energy, of passion that you find amongst early childhood educators and locations and spaces. There's a certain energy that is just very, very encompassing. It kind of pull you in like a magnet.
Yes.
I've felt that before. You know what I mean? And I think what you want and what we want is for more people to be able to tap into their passion.
Yes.
And to realize their passion and to live passionately.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Purpose is synonymous. Purpose comes as a result. And I find that just so often we try to be, you know, these other people. We try to hold on to these values and these methodologies that are so archaic.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And we don't, it's 2021.
Right. And that is why even like, you know, with babies, we said to parents, even we had our graduation ceremony recently and we said, do not label your child to say you must be a doctor, you must be a lawyer. Look at the child and see where is he exploring. Is he playing drums? Give him drums. Is he always marking on something? Give him paper.
Exactly.
Is she always pretending to cook something? Give her pots and pans.
It's sort of emergent
And so
learning,
right.
And
so when we allow them to truly be who they want to be, not tying them to you have to you find that they are freer and they are more willing. And they're more willing to try new things, try different things, and they find their niche in all these areas, right? So it's not like one time, you know, everybody wants to be doctor, lawyer. We don't promote that. We promote the child, what is coming out of you that God gave you naturally.
So that means you and your team are very big on this whole concept of emergent learning then. So it is through reflection, it is through observations that you are able to say, all right, so Simone is into this.
Yes, and that's why we have so many clubs. That was why we decided we have to have, 8 clubs. You're like, that's a lot for babies. But listen, we see them in different areas and like, okay, so now I know who can make a robot. Now I know who is the singer of the group, who is the athlete, and we give them a chance. And trust me, I've seen as this particular child who visits almost every club every day. She tunes into different clubs, but in 4-H club, that's her niche. She wants to plant. Yeah, man. Her backyard garden is immaculate. She has her compost, and she's just 5 years. She's 5. Yes, she's 5.
Oh my goodness. But Sulin, you see what you're doing is just phenomenal because you're offering children these opportunities to just be who they want to be.
Yes,
you know,
but be excellent at it.
Them.
Exactly.
You're pushing excellence. I love what you do and how
so even though we have a curriculum that we follow, let's see how we integrate both. Because you know we have this stuff we have to follow.
We do the early childhood curriculum.
So we go through and you incorporate.
You extend it and you push from what I understand emergent curriculum.
Yes.
So
we tie them in. So we tie them in. So if we're talking about, okay, we have to cover letter S and we know the curriculum says we are doing S today, we do letter S and we do the sounds and we do that. Okay, so let's get your seeds and let's see what are we going to be doing with these seeds now. Yes. And how when we watch that growth, are we tracking the growth of these seeds? So we take it just beyond what is expected and stretch it.
So you're not afraid to tweak what was given to you?
No.
So how did you sell that to your team? Because I know that you have team members that are traditional, that have come in and they say, Miss, this is how we do it, you know, this is what them say in college. And I had that same challenge too. Selling this idea of, guys, we're going to tweak this.
One of the things...
How you made that happen?
One of the things here, I don't know if probably we picked it up in interview, but one of the questions we always ask is, how are you on differentiated instruction?
Yes.
That comes all the time, and differentiated assessment. And based on their response, I don't know if maybe...
You know who to... Right, this not work.
Yeah, so the team Honestly, I would say there are a set of
They're
persons
aligned.
who are dynamic as
So
well.
they're aligned
So
to
they're
your
even,
ideas.
and not necessarily just mine. They have their own too, because
So
there are
they
things where
believe in the value.
they believe in the same value.
Okay.
Yes, they do believe in the same value. So even if when they propose something to me, I am open to listen, because as I said, we don't all know everything. And they come with their ideas and I'm like, oh my God, all right, you know what? I'm not sure, but try it.
Excellent.
Try it and give me the feedback. And when they have tried it and they say, Miss, this works, I say, good. Now share with the team. So so that is one of the things that I facilitate the teachers to grow in their own way. So they are not afraid to try new things here. And because if they're not afraid to try new things and they know that Miss is not going to say anything about that, try it. Because she's going to say, have you tried? If I say something cannot work, or they say something cannot, have you tried? If we have tried and we document what we have done and it doesn't work, then okay, we tried and this is the evidence and it didn't work, so this is what we're going to do next. And that sort of thing I find really helps to make this team so strong, because they're not afraid to try.
So Sulin, what about like opportunities for your team to grow? Do you buy into personal development?
Oh,
Is
yes.
personal and professional development a big part of what you do?
100%. 100%. I always tell everybody here, I say, listen, nobody should come here and leave here the same. At the end of each year, I want to see your portfolio looking different than it did last year.
Yes.
So even in June, actually twice per year, we collect the portfolios from the teacher. So at the end of first term, I ask them to see their portfolio and they have to document all that they have done. So all the PDIs, they have to attend.
Yes,
well, they don't have to, but I give them the option. They're encouraged to attend. Right. And when I see certification in December, and okay, at June, I ask for the portfolio again, and I see additional things there, things that I didn't even ask for, like, and what they have found now, because it has become so, if they see something happening, they share it with the group, and persons will just log on. Some of the things I can't even keep track of.
I know.
And they'll say,
but
we did this,
yes.
we did that, and the evidence is documented and there in their portfolio. And I'm like, okay, God, my work is becoming easier.
But it looks like it's becoming easier,
yes,
because you're not wearing, you just seem so content. You know, you seem
because I see their
fulfilled.
growth. When I see the staff really growing, and even though it's summer, and I think there are about 3 different activities that persons have told me they are participating in. I have 2 teachers who have just been accepted to start their masters, and I'm like, oh, for them, congratulations. I have another person who is pursuing two of my caregivers who are now pursuing college courses.
Oh my goodness, that's wonderful.
And I'm like, all for
so
them.
So at Jamaica China Goodwill Infant, there is no room for complacency.
That's right.
It's forward growth and movement and that sort of thing.
For parents, teachers, students, because we have a parent place here.
Yes.
And
so you're big on parenting and encouraging and supporting parenting.
Yes. Yeah, and not only at this level, even at high school, we don't have high school students, but on a Sunday, I do sacrifice coming here to meet with high schoolers.
You do. But
yes.
You would have to, I know you would, of course, especially as a mother of a high school student.
Right, and we do have a club which they come, students who are
that is how you know who is where in the community. I know you're enough student, I know, because prior to the podcast, you and I were talking about a particular student that was down here, X, Y, and Z, when he shouldn't have been there. I know you. Because,
listen, you see, when they grow up, these are the ones who are going to be our parents in a few years.
Yes.
What kind of parent we want. So if we see parenting being not at what we would like, how are we going to get better parents? As teenagers, we have to tell them what is expected, hear what their views are on parenting. How can they change? What would they do differently? I know that not because this is what you see, you can be different. And I think, because we have to think long term. We have to think long term.
Sulin, you are a rock star. Like, I wholeheartedly see your energy, I feel your passion, and I'm just so proud of what you have done. And
thank you.
By the way, if you haven't already guessed, Sulin can chat. She talks more than me. Right? But I don't want to keep Sulin talking for the entire day, so I want to ask you one more thing, Sulin, before we wrap it up. Talk to us a little bit about self-care and what you would recommend, because teachers coming out of this last year are tired.
Yes.
They've worked hard.
Yes.
You know, and they're finishing up today for the most part.
Yes.
What recommendations, what advice would you give them in terms of self-care now as we embark on summer?
Yeah. This is
how important is it to rest?
Extremely important. And there I tell you, my staff would say, Miss, you need to take that one for yourself.
So you're going to try and practice what you preach?
Oh yes, actually I'm working on it, you know. I have one person who holds me accountable here. So if she sees me going overboard, she's like, Miss, you need to go home now. And so, but self-care is so critical because I push it for everybody else a lot of times, and I'm learning to just relax. And it's so important because when we calm down and give ourselves time to listen to our own voice, exactly. And just do nothing.
Mindfulness almost.
Yes. When you come out of that, you feel so refreshed. Yes. And don't wait for the end of anything to make it happen. Make an effort to do it, if it's even 10 minutes per day. This 10 minutes is for me. Some persons prefer early morning, where they just sit and who does meditation, who believes in prayer, whatever it is that you feel is important. For me, it's prayer and talking with God. But for others, it may be just sitting on the outside listening to the birds and just calm yourself down.
Whatever you need to do to get into that state is critical.
Yes, it is, because nobody else is more important than you. One of the first rule what do you call it when you're going to rescue somebody?
First aid.
First aid. Put on your own mask. So you have to save yourself first before you cannot pour from an empty cup. And so we have to take the time to refill ourselves. So even as we come to the end of the year, I encourage my teachers to refresh themselves. I said, listen, after next week, turn off your phone even for a day, and it's just you. You have to just get into you, and that is important. Your family needs you. So many times we are so caught up in work and we are not getting in touch with the persons who we say we love the most.
Yeah, we've been kind of absent from them.
Exactly. Even in the same space, we're on the computer all the time, building lessons and doing all this. But it's so important to connect with yourself. Spend some time in the mirror. When last you tell yourself how beautiful you are.
I think you know what we've been doing in my course.
Really?
We talk about mirror work, we talk about mindfulness. You've been participating without telling me, Sulin. I know you have.
But it's important because many of us are pushing, but we are not in touch with us. Yes. You know, look into your own eyes. Is that little girl or that little boy who you dreamed all along, do you still see those things in the eyes that make you light up? And so it's so important.
You're hitting the nail on the head, Sulin. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, self-care is definitely important in order for you to continue growing.
Oh, Sulin. Well, I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I just want to say a big thank you to you for exemplifying leadership, you know, for showcasing community buy-in and the importance of early childhood. Sulin, you are a miracle worker, you are a light worker, you are a game changer, right? And I know that the residents in this community and the children who come to your school and the persons who work with you are all the better and stronger for your leadership and for your involvement. So it's a big shout out and a thank you to you for all that you do. We love you, we're grateful for you, we bless you, and we wish you rest this summer.
Yes, thank you, and thank you so much, Rachel, for sharing with me today. It was awesome.
You did most of the sharing. But thank you, Sulin.